to our new episode of the series of podcasts Meet the Ambassador. Episodes which are created and led by the young people, which represent their interests, and the main focus are topics that are close to them. 30 years of German Macedonian Collaboration is a great opportunity for us to have a podcast. For the realization of this podcast to be possible, we would like to express our biggest gratitude to the diverse teams of Youth Alliance Kruševo that supported the realization of these podcasts. Not by chance, today we are talking with Her Excellency Anke Holstein, Ambassador of Germany in North Macedonia. Our topic for today's podcast is 30 years German Macedonian Collaboration, Young People as Beneficiaries and Future Ties. As I said, not by chance, today we're talking with the ambassador, who is recognized from the young people in North Macedonia as their great supporter in our country and as an inspiration, including myself. Madam Ambassador, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nina Ivanovska. I am 20 years old, member of Youth Alliance Kruševo. I am a law student, a passionate volunteer, and the moderator of today's podcast. One interesting fact is that this German Macedonian collaboration started 10 years before I was born. Madam Ambassador, can I kindly ask you for your short introduction?
Thank you very much for your warm welcoming words. I've been serving more than 30 years in the German diplomatic service, mainly here in the region and dealing with European affairs. The only exception were 2 years, but very interesting ones, as ambassador in Djibouti at the Horn of Africa. Since 2 years, I've been German ambassador to North Macedonia, and this is something that makes me both very happy and very proud to represent my country here in beautiful North Macedonia. I have 2 grown-up daughters who live in Berlin. They are twins. I have a cat. And my passions are trail running, reading, and everything about the region here.
Thank you for your short introduction. And another fun fact is that I'm also a twin myself. I have a twin brother. So now, Federal Republic of Germany is one of the biggest supporters for our society and one of the most desired destinations for young people from North Macedonia. And thanks to the numerous amounts of funds allocated in the form of loans and donations from the Federal Republic of Germany, a lot of projects have been implemented, thus making a major step in the development of our society. So my question is, can I kindly ask you about major achievements from the 30 years of this German-Macedonian collaboration?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you rightly said, the start of the cooperation between our 2 countries was back in 1992. Diplomatic relations have been established then 1 year later, and 5 years later in 1997 followed the agreement on culture, laying the basis for exchange in culture, education, science, etc. As an embassy, we are active in a numerous field of projects. One of the focuses is the so-called Pact for Stability with rather flexible funds that allow us to be active in the field of crisis prevention, peacekeeping, conflict management. Here in North Macedonia, we support civil society in the area of interethnic dialogue, democracy and human rights development, help for marginalized groups, and regional and trans-regional cooperation. For instance, we have been supporting Youth Alliance Kruševo for many years, and we are also going to support this year's Jubilee event. I really believe that this is an excellent event, creating bonds between politically interested young people from the region and from other parts of the world to discuss topics that are important to them in order to be able to contribute to shaping their own future. Another field where the embassy is active in is financial support of so-called micro-projects. This is something very flexible and very practical, really answering needs of a very diverse character. So during the Corona pandemic, for instance, we bought out of that fund Krankenwagen. Nee, die heißen anders. Ambulances, sorry. Ambulances, and we helped with medical equipment. Otherwise, we help quite often with equipment for schools or for kindergartens or for communal enterprises, or we help with wastewater treatment in villages, or we help shelter places for women or for other vulnerable people. A special focus is on children and adults with special needs. We help with equipment, with special rooms, etc. Everything on we have been doing, there was an impressive number somewhere in the papers. We have been doing more than 150 of those micro projects over the last 30 years. And all of this can be found on our homepage. In the field of culture, our flagship are the German Cinema Days. Every year, usually at the end of September or beginning of October, where we show in cooperation with Kinoteca some German movies, really recent ones. So I can already tell you that on this year's program there are really good movies, so it's worth coming and watching them. This year, for the first time, we showed 4 movies out of the Human Rights Film Festival in Berlin, and had discussions with students, civil society activists, using mainly the structure of the Europe houses. And especially this exchange on the human rights issues in the films was something that everybody benefited from and really, really enjoyed. Some of the movies were really very touching. Another area of cooperation is police cooperation. Every year we are helping with equipment like cars, etc., so what the police needs in order to be more efficient. In fact, in addition to what the embassy is doing, there are 7 other German institutions that are equally financed out of German taxpayers' money. And we kind of try to join forces as a team, what I like to call Team Germany, because we're all living from taxpayers' money. I guess you know all of them, or some of them are really famous. So we have Goethe Institute, we have the German Academic Exchange Service, the ARD, we have the most famous one, GIZ, which stands for German Society for International Cooperation. We have KfW, the German Development Bank. We have the delegation of the German economy in North Macedonia, and we have our 2 political foundations, Konrad Adenauer Stiftung and Friedrich Ebert Stiftung. On our homepage, we established a place where you can really see what all the others are doing. It's worth passing by and checking what they are doing. Goethe Institute, that's the nature of their job. They are active on cultural cooperation between the 2 countries. And this really trying to strengthening the local scenes in every direction with many, many different projects. Main topics are sustainability, urban participation, and digitalization as something that is really important to all of us. And of course, offering courses for learning German. The German Exchange Service, as already the name says, helps and facilitates academic exchanges with a lot of scholarships every year. There are a couple of cooperations between universities, for instance, Würzburg, Heidelberg, Freiburg. So let me get now to the most well-known partner, GIZ. GIZ has been actively engaged in North Macedonia since 1992. Their work is mainly dedicated to supporting the country's reform efforts, EU reform efforts through a broad variety of projects and innovative approaches. The projects are, of course, jointly developed and implemented with the national partners from the government, from the civil society, and from the business sector. The work is about producing results in a transparent, efficient, and partner-oriented way, and in line with good commercial practices, and guided by the principle of sustainability. On the current work of GIZ in North Macedonia, there are mainly three focus areas: good governance and democracy, environment and climate change, and economic development and employment. Let me mention one project that I'm really passionate about. This is the very successful Super School program. But maybe you know some people who took part in that. We had the first call for applications last year. And then in the end, 60 schools, 30 partnerships from all over the region were chosen. And in fact, the young people had visited each other, had activities together. And I took part in the final event of this first phase, some hot summer day in Struga. Mm-hmm. And it was so impressive to meet those young people and to hear from them what they experienced during those exchanges. So they met the others, they learned how they live, what they think, and they realized that in fact there are more things that bring everybody together than separate them. So this was a really very enriching experience, and there will be a second phase of that program. On KfW, they have been active in North Macedonia since '98. Main activities in the area of municipal infrastructure, renewable energy, energy efficiency projects, water supply and wastewater, irrigation, and environmental protection. In the last 5 years, work has focused on tackling climate change challenges. So there is the wind park in Bogdanci, you might have heard of, and a big irrigation scheme in the Vardar Valley. Overall, that's an impressive number. The KfW portfolio in North Macedonia is 500 million euros. Something very recent KfW is implementing is the so-called Regional Challenge Fund, which where consortia of businesses and vocational training schools can apply together in order to receive money out of that fund to improve the vocational training and especially in the view of dual education, this German principle where you work and learn in parallel in order to be really fit for the job. And there was also the first round of call for application. And in North Macedonia, we had 8 successful participants, which received 3.5 million euros, so quite a substantial amount. The delegation of the German economy, which is also harboring the German Macedonian Business Association, which is one of the biggest business associations in the country, is of course here in order to help and improve the business relationships between our two countries. North Macedonia harbors about 200 German investments with more than 20,000 jobs. So this is quite a lot. And most of the companies active here are very happy with their investment and keep growing and creating more jobs.
Of course.
On our 2 party foundations, this is maybe something that is very specific to Germany, that big parties enjoy having a party foundation. They are mainly active in political education, focused on youth and on the local and regional level. And this is, I believe, also a very useful contribution. Let me stop here. I could continue for a long time, but I think this is more than enough.
Thank you, Ambassador Holstein, for the fascinating data and the numbers that you put out there. I think that the role that the Federal Republic of Germany has in the development of our society and the support in the EU integration process, I think that it is unquestionably large. However, it is important for us to observe also the Macedonian part of this collaboration. So my next question is, according to your opinion, what are the benefits of the German society from this collaboration?
Germany is innovative in techniques and in other areas of business. And we were very active in research and in science, and we need well-trained people because we are lacking labor force. I know that many people who are coming from here to Germany are deeply missed here, because every country needs well-trained people for building its own future. But I have to admit, North Macedonian people from North Macedonia are more than welcome in Germany, because they are very good workers, interested in doing a good job and making a substantial contribution to our society. It is a brain drain, and this is a bit of a problem, I know, but I hope that many, after having made good experience in Germany, return back home and then can contribute even better to building the future of North Macedonia. We are actively searching for qualified workers, but we are also accepting unqualified workers. This was a program introduced back in 2016. There the demand was especially high, and in order to manage that, you might have noticed we introduced, there was always a problem that waiting lists piled up to an amount that was really unfair. And then at a certain stage there was another practice how to attribute the appointments. Now we are doing a lottery, similar to the green card lottery. And the drawing is done in Berlin, so there's no influence whatsoever from here. So the result is that not everybody can receive an appointment, but at least the distribution of the appointments is completely fair.
Yes, I would agree, and I think that it is very nice to hear from an ambassador that the young people are also welcome in that country, especially since I mentioned that it is one of the most desired destinations for young people from North Macedonia. So now, as you previously mentioned, this year Youth Alliance Kruševo is organizing the 20th edition of the International Youth Conference, European Values for the Future of the SEC Countries, which serves as a great opportunity to promote the European values, but also to connect the leaders from the region. So 20 years of the German Macedonian Collaboration, from 30 years of German Embassy in Skopje, is supporting our conference. For me, that is personally very inspiring, and also I would like to say thank you enormously for your trust and support. So my question is, what is your advice for our next conference that will be taking place from 29th September to 3rd of October in our lovely Kruševo?
I took part virtually in the last two editions, and I'm really looking forward to trying to attend this Jubilee edition, but it's very close to our National Day, so this might be a little bit problematic. I truly believe that your conference makes a great contribution to networking and cooperation among young leaders of the region. It helps making your voices heard, and this is something that you should continue doing. That's the perfect way of contributing to the development of society. Now, after the start of accession talks, which is really very encouraging, there is, of course, the need to implement the reforms on the EU path swiftly, because this determines the pace of accession. It's no external factor. It's really the pace of the implementation of reforms that decides how long this will go and how quickly North Macedonia can become a full member of the European Union. Young people are perfectly placed to make sure that things are happening as quickly as possible. I think 2030 could be a realistic time. And in the meantime, it's important to make really good use of the reform process, to modernize the country, to make it fit for the challenges of EU membership. And this, as this is very much in your own interest, this is, I think, what you should focus on.
Thank you. And as we all know, the 2022 is the European Year of Youth. So may I kindly ask you to advise us how we, the young people in North Macedonia, can put the focus on them in 2022? So maybe in the development of good neighborhood relations with our neighboring countries?
I would in fact go very much into the same direction, to advise to focus on the EU accession path, which is also something that unites all countries of the region. Albania now started at the same moment as North Macedonia. Montenegro is a little bit more advanced. In Serbia there are different challenges. Really focus on the contribution you can make, as it is about your own future and you have it in your hands, to make sure that your future is becoming the one you want. And this is how you should make best use of this year of youth.
Thank you. And for us as a society, it is very important for this German Macedonian collaboration to continue in the future with the same and even better pace. So my final question is, what will be the focus in the future of this collaboration?
Mm-hmm. We have really achieved a lot together in the last 30 years, and I would really like to use this opportunity to thank all our partners in North Macedonia. This work can only be successful in excellent cooperation, and for the future we hope to continue this excellent and very close cooperation in order to foster North Macedonia's EU accession. We have always said that we support the full EU integration of the entire Western Balkans region. There's absolutely no alternative to it. And we are trying to support that in all possible ways. We will try all we can. We will try to do all we can to make that process successful and as smooth as possible. And we will, of course, fully support all the reforms that are necessary in order to advance on that path. The focus of the cooperation will remain on partnerships in local level, in economy, in energy, the areas I mentioned already, energy transition and climate change preparedness. These are challenges for all of us. And the biggest issue is, of course, we will remain strong allies for peace and security in Europe.
Thank you very much. And in the end, I would like to say a huge thank you for your being with us today, for your openness and the fruitful discussion. And also, thank you all of you who is watching us and who is supporting us. As I said, this was the first episode of the series of podcasts Meet the Ambassador. And in the end, I think that we can all agree that the young people should be in the focus and in the spotlight in the future of this German Macedonian collaboration. And also young people in North Macedonia are recognizing a strong partner of your country and supporter of our country in Germany. So I think that we should say congratulations of 30 years of German Macedonian collaboration, for many years to next steps in this collaboration. Until next time, stay safe and take care.
you.